Hi guys, I hope that you're all doing well. Today's lesson is about revising trinomials. The reason I say revise is because I told you to check out the grade 9 factorization playlist. In that video, I introduce different ways to factorize. So in this video, we'll do tricky questions that you should expect in your grade 10 exams. So let's start with the first one. Let's try x squared plus 7x plus 12. What's the first step? We have to multiply a and c. You guys know this is your a, that is your b, and that is your c. The coefficient of a is 1. You have an invisible 1, right? So we'll say 1 times 12. 1 times 12 is positive 12. So you've multiplied a and c. Now you have to find the factors of 12, this number that you just calculated, that will add up to 7. Okay? So we start with 12 divided by 1. It's obviously 12. Then 12 divided by 2, we get 6. 12 divided by 3 is 4. 12 divided by 4, we get 3. 12 divided by 5 doesn't really work. 12 divided by 6 is 2. Okay, so let's try to find a combination that we can use so that we can get a positive 7. Remember, we're trying to find any of these numbers that can give us a positive 7, as we have a plus 7 at b. Which numbers can we use? We have 12 and 1. 1 plus 12 is 13. 12 minus 1 is 11, so we can't really use the combination. We have 2 and 6. 6 plus 2 can give us 7. Let's try 3 and 4. We have 3 plus 4, which could give us a 7. This 3 is positive and that 4 is positive. So to factorize this, you have to open your bracket. Do you guys see that you have an x here and there? So you have to start with the variable that you've been given, x. It'll be a x plus 3. This 3. In your second bracket, you have a x plus that 4. And that is how you factorize trinomials. Again, you can always distribute this just to see whether your answer is accurate. I'm going to do this for an example. How do we do this? Again, we'll say x times x, which is x squared. Then x times 4, which is 4x. You guys know products by now. Then 3 times x, we get a 3x. And lastly, we have a 3 times 4, which is 12. Positive 12. Let's look for like terms. You only have x squared. Then 4 plus 3 should give us a 7x, and we're left with a positive 12. So can you guys see that this is exactly like that? Therefore, this factorization is accurate. And let's do the second example. Now let's try x squared minus 2x minus 5. This is an example that has a negative constant term. Remember, I told you guys that a constant term in the grade 9 algebra videos is a term that doesn't have a variable. So it's this one, this negative 15. What's the first step? We have to multiply a and c. That is your a, this is your b, and that is your c. The coefficient of a is the invisible 1. So we'll say 1 times negative 15. This should give you a negative 15. Now let's find factors of negative 15. That will give us negative 2. We start with negative 15 divided by 1. We get a negative 15. Negative 15 divided by 2. 2 isn't a factor, as it doesn't go into 15. So let's try negative 15 divided by 3. We have a negative 5. Then a negative 5 divided by 4. That's not a factor. Negative 5 divided by 5. We have a negative 3. Negative 5 divided by 6. That's not a factor. Negative 15 divided by 7. That's not a factor. Divided by 8. That's not a factor. Divided by 9. Not a factor. 10. Not a factor. Let's try to work with the ones that we already have. Which terms can we use? We have negative 15 plus 1. We cannot get to negative 2 by using these numbers. Then 3 and a negative 5. Negative 5 plus 3 gives you a negative 2. Negative 5 plus 3 gives you a negative 2. Okay, so those terms. Now, do you write this again? We start with the variable that we have. We're given x. So it's x. You have a positive 3, right? So it could be x plus 3 and x. You have a negative 5, so it should be x minus 5. That is your answer. If you want to make sure, you can always distribute this the same way that I've taught you guys. in the previous videos, and you should get this answer. Let's move to the third example. Now let's try an example where the coefficient of A is greater than 1. Remember, this is your A, that is your B, and that is your C. Normally, you had 1 as a coefficient. In this case, you have 2. How do we solve this? We first follow the first same steps. You start with 2 times 3, which is a positive 6. Let's try to find factors of 6. That will give us a positive 7. 6 divided by 1 is 6. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. 6 divided by 4 doesn't work. By 5 doesn't work. Lastly, we're left with 6 divided by 6, which is 1. So which combination can we use? You're trying to get to 7. Can you guys see that 6 plus 1 gives you a positive 7? So you can use that combination. In this case, we have to split the middle term. We don't start with x plus, let's say, 1x plus 6. You can try to distribute this, however, it wouldn't work. So we write the a that we have, that is your A, that is your B, and that is your C. You have 2x squared. We have a positive 1, right? Remember, we're using this combination. So it's 1. We can just write this as x, as it should be 1x, plus 6x. We're left with a positive 3. When dealing with these terms, as they are the factors of 6, you have to make sure that you put them in the correct order. In some cases, you might have to make sure that your 6 is there and this x is that side. This is the part where we'll try to find the highest common factor. So we start with the first two terms, right? We have 2x squared plus x. What is common here? X. Open your bracket. We have our 2x. This cancels with that, so we're left with the 1. Plus x divided by x, you just have 1. Then 6 divided by 3, what is the highest common factor? 3. We can only take out 3 here. Open a bracket, 6 divided by 3. You have 2x, 3 divided by 3, which is 1. Now, remember I taught you guys the common bracket, right? Can you see that you have x plus 1 here and x plus 1 there? So you write down that common bracket, 2x plus 1, and you write what's outside. You have x plus 3. Then you can distribute this to make sure that you have the right answer. If you don't, you might have to switch these terms. In this case, you don't really have to switch them. Let's move to the fourth example. Number 4, we have 3x squared minus 5x minus 2. What's the first step? You have to multiply a with c. So it's 3 times negative 2. This should give you a negative 6. So you have to find factors of negative 6 that add up to b, which is negative 5. Let's try to find the factors. You have negative 6 divided by 1, which is negative 6. Negative 6 divided by 2, you have a negative 3. Negative 6 divided by 3, you have a negative 2. So let's try to find different combinations. A combination that will give us negative 5. When you start with 1 and negative 6, it's already there. We can say negative 6 plus 1. This will give us a negative 5, which is b. So we split the middle term. We have 3x squared. We write a as it is. Then we have a positive 1, right? So it's just x. Then negative 6, negative 6x. And we're left with negative 2. Remember, sometimes you might have to switch these. Let's see whether this works. What's the highest common factor there? We can take out an x, as x is common there. Open your bracket. We're left with 3, then x squared. We take out 1x, we're left with x plus x divided by x is 1. What's the highest common factor? We can take out a 2, right? A positive 2. I want to show you guys something. So if it's a positive 2, we'll say negative 6 divided by 2, which is a negative 3. We're left with x. The negative 2 divided by positive 2, this should give us a negative 2. Remember, you're supposed to have a common bracket. This should be 3x plus 1 and a positive 3x plus 1. Excuse me, this should be minus 1. As it's negative 2 divided by 2. We get a minus 1. So can you guys see that we don't have a common bracket? So instead of taking out a positive 2, we can try to take out a negative 2. we have a negative 2, open a bracket, negative 2 divided, negative 6 divided by negative 2, we have a positive 3x. Negative 2 divided by negative 2, we have a positive 1. So do you guys see that we have a 3x plus 1 and a 3x plus 1? That's a common bracket. We write down the 3x plus 1, then x minus 2. What's outside? And this is your final answer. If you're uncertain about your answer, you can always distribute this to see whether you get that part. Let's move to the last example. For the last example, I tried making this a bit tricky. Do we have a trinomial? Remember, trinomials have 3 terms. We have term 1, 2, and 3. They're separated by the plus or the minus sign. We do have a trinomial. However, can you guys see that we have a 4x cubed here and a 12x squared? We normally have, let's say, 4x squared minus 12x minus 40. You even have an x there. So when you factorize, you always want to try to take out the common factor first. That should be your go-to factorization method. The first one that I taught you guys. So what's common in all these terms? In the first term, the second term, and the third term, can you guys see that we all have x, x, and x? They all have x. We can take out x. However, let's start with the variables, the values or the coefficients. You have 4, 12, and 40. When you find your factors, you can realize that the highest common factor of these values is 4. Okay, in case it's not clear to you. So this should be a 4. We also have x here, there, as well as there. We can only take out x. Remember, we try to take out the one that is the lowest power. So it's x. Now let's open our bracket. This is our highest common factor. We have 4x, then 4 divided by 4, we have 1. You don't really have to write down that 1. Then x cubed divided by x. We have 3 x's here. We're taking out 1, so you're left with x squared. Then negative 12x squared, we'll see negative 12 divided by 4, which is a negative 3. We have x squared, take out 1, so we're left with x. Then a negative 40x, so be negative 40 divided by a positive 4, this should give you a negative 10. X divided by x, we're left with 1. So you have a 4x, in our bracket we have an x squared minus 3x minus 10. So can you guys see that we now have a proper trinomial in the brackets? In the bracket, we have an x squared minus 3x minus 10, which is something that you should be able to solve. So go and do this by yourself, or you can try to pause the video. When you factorize what's in the bracket, you should get an x minus 5 and then an x plus 2. But remember, we still have this 4x that's outside. So you just write it outside your bracket. Your duty is to factorize this first and then include the 4x. And that is how we deal with trinomials. In the next video, I'll teach you guys grouping, and then we'll eventually do grade 10 work, which is the difference of 2 cubes. Thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.